largest reinsurers active worldwide. And in this particular case, we were actually involved from the very beginning, even before the inception in early 2018. So we put our heads together from the legal department, from the public sector engagement department, from the underwriting, parametric underwriting, of course, and capital market specialists to think of ways how to design it overall, how to make the contractual risk transfer arrangements really work. And that now it looks really easy on this slide, but there has been really a lot of thinking beforehand to make it happen. So now the involvement, I think the major part is obviously the risk capacity which we put in. It's 50 million US dollar that we add on, and that's a crucial point, I think, for this public-private partnership to work, because it really scales up the risk transfer capacities of this fund. And so a bit more specifically then, the involvement comes also on the day-to-day basis when we look at the transactions. So involved in the selection and assessment of the transactions and the product structures. So we accompany also the product development process to some extent, and have our expertise from the parametric team and risk modeling teams go into the specific project as well. And what I find great, it's lean and efficient, but such a strong impact. And this comes along also with the promise within the tripartite agreement to also provide risk capacity, which will then obviously be catered for in the second phase of each project. And I think I was also surprised, well, not really surprised, but if you look at the attendee list, there are not too many global reinsurers here. So while I find it very inspiring, although I must admit, I mean, as a reinsurer, you just come like in the second row, not too much like in the field, which is just part of the role we play. And there are many other great institutions who are doing an excellent job in providing this connection to the people who we are all thinking of. But this is probably not the perfect role for a reinsurer, especially not for a very lean and efficient organization like Hannover. So this is an ideal place for this conference to be able to connect, to motivate, and I mean this communication about this conference and the results and the ideas which are coming out of here are being spread in the news and the media, and I think it can also be some, can set some sparks to ignite also the interest from other reinsurers. And someone else was telling me earlier today that he would feel that the reinsurers should play a greater role in encouraging also insurers to have an interest in microinsurance. And so I think, I'll take that home with me, and I hope other reinsurers will do the same. And let's see where we stand in the following years. I think it comes back also to the title of this session, I understand, to the question of insurability and what happened with the high level of risk. And to me, insurability is very closely linked to, as I just said, the level of risk. And with the nat-cat and climate risk exposure growing, and insurers and reinsurers, having to fulfill regulatory solvency requirements, there's a need for risk-adequate prices to take. And so this is a critical prerequisite to be able to offer risk transfer long-term. So the price in this case also has a signaling function about the level of risk which is there. And this is where the crucial point of risk reduction comes in. So if I have prevention and mitigation for my risks, then that really helps to keep an asset or a region insurable. And so I think these are overall efforts which are being made. And in this context, I found it quite tragic that Prime Minister Mia Mottley, she mentioned several times, not only at the Insurance Development Forum Summit, but also lately at the Hamburg Sustainability Conference, she said, if you're not insurable, you're not investable. And I think this is very striking for countries to think of, and which makes the point in being aware of including risk management and insurance thinking to look at the broader finance situation. And I hope myself that, with everyone joining efforts, thinking of risk reduction and what to do, so to bring risks down that are inevitable, to have the inevitability going down, and also like availability of good and reliable data going forward, which will all help to increase, the insurability and develop further risk models for the peak perils in also regions like Nepal or others. And I think there also the IDF and the Risk Modeling Steering Group does a good work, and other initiatives as well. Then also it comes also in to have adequate regulatory frameworks in place, because you have to, if you want the risk covers to work and spread the risk from a country also globally, for having this diversification effect, you have to have cross-border insurance and reinsurance allowed. And we observe that in many countries there are some trade barriers which prevent that. And so I can only encourage the message that to think of how to enable free trade across borders, and also, as we mentioned, coming back also to the NDF, to have an enabling environment for parametric insurance, which can be a really useful tool going forward.
यस्तै बीमा बैंक र शेयर बजार सम्बन्धी सम्पूर्ण जानकारीका लागि बीमा पोस्टको युट्युब च्यानललाई लाइक, शेयर र सब्स्क्राइब गर्न नभुल्नुहोला। धन्यवाद।